Hey y'all, it's your girl Nadi, aka Queen Goddess Hope, and I am here to welcome you to my masterclass, How to Be Happy, a guide to self-actualization through self-love. Again, my name is Nadia Atkinson Maldonado, and I am here to welcome you to hashtag Free as Fuck University. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen so we can start the presentation. All right. So here we are. I am going to get this whole thing started for you. And welcome you once again to hashtag Free as Fuck University. So here's my little Martian Bay. He is definitely dope. And we're going to start. So this course will be about, yes, I'm wearing a crop top. Becoming free as fuck, overcoming fear, false evidence appearing real, some self-love tips, health is absolutely wealth, and how to take a stand for yourself. By the end of this course, you will have some things to take home with you, and that is your homework on finding an accountability partner, creating a self-care routine, and asking yourself, who am I? Learn how to attack the darkness and register for the masterclass. And by the way, you should absolutely listen to Willow. She is truly way beyond her years, and her song, Overthinking It, is definitely something that allowed me to heal once and for all. So just a few reminders for you that you'll be able to take away from this course is that it is okay to say no nicely. Don't rush the process. Trust your path and practice mindfulness. And be sure to check out my website, www.bu2.com. So let's get started. Well, welcome to my blueprint. I have a few questions first. I was on this journey towards trying to find out who I am and what happiness is, and I didn't know how to get there. So I decided to sit down and sit with myself and ask myself a few questions. And I'm just going to read this right out to you so that you can actually see what I'm talking about in the future slides. So welcome to my blueprint. I have some questions first. What is love? Why do we need self-love? Where does it come from? Who invested it? What is love? How do I obtain it? How do I know what it feels like? Have I ever received love? I believe some of the greatest books I've ever read have always talked about love. These were some of the questions I had asked myself many times over and couldn't find the answer in men or women. It didn't matter. What mattered was that I felt alone and I didn't know how to not feel alone anymore. I learned that I needed to love myself. I learned how to love myself by paying attention to who was around me and speaking positively most of the time. In reality, each day is different. We have highs, we have lows, we have days where life takes us on a roller coaster and we want to get off. How many of you have been there? I know I've been there. So when you no longer know how to manage these things, you keep going anyway. Every single day we keep going. This page or this course is geared toward the individual who doesn't know where to turn any longer. I don't have the blueprint, but this is my blueprint. All of the quotes, all of the sessions that I've done, all of the oracle readings, things that made me say, yes, you're worth the entire universe and then some. I had loved me. I love me. Here's how I did it. Here is my journey toward hashtag free as fuck. So let's break the ice. Let's start out with a game. This is what we're going to do. I have 10 words geared towards self-love. Keep in mind, self-love is key. And I'm going to type the words scrambled in the chat box. And I want you to unscramble the words so that you can figure out what it means to love yourself. So I'm going to start this process here right now, and let's get it poppin'. The winner, whoever has the most points at the end of the game, will get Cash App dollars from me. All right. So, how was that game? I think it was great. I think it was a great way to break the ice. I am big on these webinars not being boring, so I don't want to keep you too long. But one question that I had to ask myself was, you must expand if you hold such a great love. Being a Libra, we're all about love. Having my Venus in Libra, I'm really all about love. So these are the questions that I said to myself. And that's why you see them say, you to yourself, me to myself, because these are the questions and the things that I'm still healing from till this day. You know, healing takes something major on the deep inside of us because of the simple fact it requires us to have a sound mind. The thing is, I had to ask myself these questions because I know that you often ask yourself these questions. A lot of us are stuck in relationships. A lot of us are stuck in jobs. A lot of us are stuck. So here is what I had to ask myself. Why don't they love me? You to yourself. Who can I trust? You to yourself. I don't want to start over. Definitely me to myself. No one is safe. You to yourself. How will I survive without them? Me to myself. Self-love is the best love. Again, me to myself. You are number one. Me to myself. Now you see there are little questions all around here. What if, what if, what if, what if? So what if is such a major takeaway for me because I created a vision board 2014, 2015, 2017, 2019, and again in 2021. On my vision board for 2015, I had to sit and look at it and figure out what was on that board that no longer resonated me when I went to go do my vision board in 2017. In 2017, I wrote the question, what if, all over the board, because I wanted to figure out what would I do if all of this stuff actually happened. I couldn't even figure out what that meant. I couldn't figure out how God was going to intervene on my behalf to make these things happen. And one of the things that was actually on my board was going to see the Northern Lights in Iceland. Can you believe, fast forward to 2019, I actually went and saw the Northern Lights in Iceland. It was something that I couldn't have paid for, but the question still presented itself. What if you was actually able to expand and to hold such a great love inside of you that you actually manifest it? So that's the thing. And that's the key takeaway I want you to think about when we're talking about this entire thing about self-love. You must expand if you are to hold such a great love. Keep that in mind. So on this class today, we are discussing self-actualization, but many people aren't aware of what self-actualization is. I'm going to go into that a little bit more detailed on the next slide, but to know that self-actualization comes from a professor in psychology called Maslow. At the top, you'll see on the right-hand side, we have a pyramid. And at the top of that pyramid, that's where self-actualization lies. So self-actualization is the psychological process aiming at maximizing the use of a person's abilities and resources. This process may vary for each person. It is said that once a person's basic needs are met, they'd grow into feeling like they've accomplished self-actualization once they've engaged in enough self-development to reach the highest point. One cannot get to the top without the accomplishment of the previous. So that brings me to the next slide and the picture to the left. So this is where I felt I had reached my level of self-actualization. And I'll tell you why. Because I had traveled all across the country by myself in my little C300 with all of my belongings that I owned at that time. I drove from New Jersey to Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, then to Nebraska. Hey, family out in Nebraska, to Colorado, Vegas, and then Long Beach, California, my final destination. It was something that I adored doing. And this picture on the left was a beach that I had found in Chicago on my way to the museum. Now, here at the top, we see our key phrase and my little baby Martian, hey boo, self-actualization is key. But this is not your typical pyramid. The thing is, we have to start from the bottom. Physiological needs, breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. How many times have you taken for granted you walking into your home and actually being able to close the door and feel safe? Many of us take advantage of those things, but here we know that these things are required in order for us to get to the next step, which is safety and security. That includes health, employment, property, family, and stability. Think about the nature of a man. It is his duty and it is his honor to provide for his family. It is the way he shows love to his family. It is how he is nurtured as a man. When he is fulfilled, then everyone else is fulfilled. So that brings me back to the physiological needs. When your home and food is provided for, you elevate to the next level. Your employment pays for you to maintain your physiological needs, right or wrong. So what happens is, as you have these needs met, you now move on to the next level. And the thing is, you cannot achieve self-actualization without the other tiers being met. So keeping in line with this example of a man and how he provides for his family, whether if it is his family being himself, his children, his partner and mate, or again, himself. So moving right along to love and belonging. Thing is, now that a man is comfortable with who he is, he and his home and his job, he is thriving, he is happy. He's like, wow, this house is great. I love my job. This money is great, but I am also alone. So now you have the work employees on the left side who are real status quo, but then you got the crazies on the right side throwing up gang signs and peace signs and all of this extra stuff like, yo, let's go, tongues out, let's party. Then you're like, no, I'm not sure. I kind of want to vacate and get a boo so we could take nice little bubble baths. You know, Valentine's Day is approaching. Let's do the thing. You know what I mean? Like, let's start the vibes. Hey, erotic poet. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, you cannot obtain the next level of high self-esteem or give that same respect to others, have that confidence that, yes, my whole life is thriving. I have this pyramid thing on smash. Hey, Maslow, what's up? So with that intimacy, with that family, with those vibes, with that sense of connection, with that sense of knowing and belonging, that safety, that security, your physiological needs are now met. Guess what? You can now exude that confidence and that aura and give it to the masses. Now, once you feel like all of those things are obtained, you will now move into self-actualization, where I personally feel that I had achieved that level of happiness and acceptance within myself because of the simple fact all of those other needs were met. I felt happy in my work, in my relationship, in my confidence. But then at the top, I said, okay, I still feel kind of alone. What? Why? Who? I thought that once you reached the top and you had all of these things met, there was nothing missing. So yes, you may be at the top. All of your additional needs may be met, but guess what? You're here on this webinar for a reason. And I am here to tell you that self-love was missing from my life. Although it may seem like, okay, all of these things are met, No, once you reach that top height of self-actualization, you now have to go inward to heal yourself from all of the trauma that no one told you how to heal. So, quick little background on the little crazy girl, So, I had a few traumatic events happen to me back to back to back, starting from age 5 and age 6. Those two events triggered me like crazy. I went from this happy go lucky, smiley girl. My parents separated, my primary caretaker, my grandma passed away. And then we had gotten to this major big altercation, at home. And it just severed so many different ties within us. And I no longer had access to my closest ally at that time, which was my dad. And, going through separations and divorces and things like that, those things cause trauma. It doesn't matter what age you are, divorce is still a difficult thing to handle for everybody, all parties involved. So my second grade picture reflected my experience on the inside. I really wasn't in the mood to take these school pictures. My hair was a little bit of a mess because my mother told me not to touch my braids, and I still wanted to do it. You saw my hair a little down my back. I thought I was grown. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do whatever I want. But shame on a lady who was taking a picture who couldn't say, sis, you want to put your hair in the back? Like, help me out. Anyway, moving right along to the next phase. Age 16, here I am in the middle of Boca Raton, still rogue, still dark, not trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had adopted the color of Black because I thought it looked good on my light skin. And I was like, you know what? I am going to bask in this Aaliyah energy because I thought I was the Queen Aaliyah. And I started learning about numerology. I was really into school. I was really into grades and academics and things like that. So it was really important for me to always keep learning. So I would go to Barnes and Noble and I would immediately go right to the New Age section and read my horoscopes and play around and get into numerology. I knew my life path number from a young age. Fast forward some years, I am still in Black. Okay. I was 33. I had just twisted my ankle. I was literally at rock bottom. I had no idea what I wanted to do. My aggregate loan levels were reached the year before, and I could no longer afford to continue my education. I had received an acceptance letter from Seton Hall University, Rutgers Newark, and Rutgers New Brunswick to obtain a social work and counseling degree, and that did not happen. I had no idea what I was going to do, considering it took me 10 years to get to where I was at. You know what I mean? And I was like, yes, I'm finally able to go to school after 10 years of working in corporate America. And then my loan limits were reached and I could not follow through. So I started to do the work. I started to journal like crazy and really try to figure out how to alleviate that age 7 trauma. Fast forward a year, I am now free as fuck. And I still mirrored the damage because I knew how to articulate my thoughts well. I knew how to handle the trauma on a daily basis. But now I was still hurting inside and didn't know how to not mirror that onto my romantic relationships. And I was at a point where I felt like, okay, I'm free. I am going to do whatever it is that I want to do for myself because of the simple fact that I no longer wanted to feel hurt. So I started doing Reiki. And when I started doing Reiki, my Reiki practitioner said, I don't know what's going on here, but one thing that I advise you to do is no longer wear Black because Black attracts negative energy. And that actually made sense. So as soon as I was finished with that Reiki, I ran over to Primark and got a whole new wardrobe. So fast forward to age 35, where I am today. Yes, I am hashtag free as fuck. Yes, I am a scholar. Yes, I live anywhere in the United States of America, but I am no longer wearing Black. My skin glows. I am happy. And this course will teach you exactly what I did to get there. So Here's where I like to start. My friend Alien Player on Instagram sent me this because him and I are both doing self-love courses. Mine is today, his is tomorrow, and he sent me this and I thought, whoa, this is exactly what I needed to see, because guess what? This was me. At the bottom, we have the trauma is repressed while growing up, feeling worthless and unlovable. Next step, I am as good as what I do for others. I am only lovable when I am visible. Excruciating, painful feelings of worthlessness and unlovability. Loneliness is alleviated by the attraction to narcissists and or the compulsion to stay with them. The selfless, compulsive caretaker who habitually attempts to control others and into loving them. Guess what, guys? That was all me. So go back one slide. You saw all of those pictures of me. There were 5 different steps. And guess what? All of those different steps allowed me to go through this entire self-love deficit pyramid. And what it allowed me to do was really sit with myself and understand my trauma and the layers of trauma and healing that I have gone through to get me to where I am today. So my advice to you is to start where the layers that need to be healed first. My thing is, at the bottom, I had always felt that I was an orphan because growing up as a product of 2 teenage parents, what's one thing that these teenage parents are going to do? They are going to absolutely do whatever it is possible for them to get to a point of healing and get to a point on that chart of providing safety and security and your physiological needs for your family. And that is what my father aspired to do. That is what my mother aspired to do. They aspired to heal themselves and provide for their families in that same token. So due to their quote unquote lack of availability to raising me as a child, hands-on every single day, day in and day out, that was led with my grandmother. So you're on this path and you're not understanding, because sometimes we're just too young to understand the pain and the hurt that we've gone through. But I can assure you that I've gone through every single step on this chart. So, at one point I was a yes man. I did everything for everyone. I wanted to make sure that people were happy. If you asked me to go out, I was going to go. If you asked me to do this, I was going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I made sure that I was available for people because I didn't receive the love that I thought I needed at that time. I wanted to find that love in others. So saying no was not an option, which is why that is a reminder for you. It's okay to say no gently and politely and nicely. It is okay to protect you, because sometimes we become yes men and we become exhausted because we're not satisfied with the person's satisfaction in us being there and available and accessible. So that made me sad, which is the next thing. Painful feelings of worthlessness and unlovability. You feel like you're alone. Nobody understands what you are, and no one is going to understand who you are until you know who you are. Now, loneliness is alleviated by the attraction to narcissists and or the compulsion to stay with them. That was also me. I had ended my relationship and my engagement with somebody who I felt I needed to be with, and not realizing that they may have been a narcissist, not realizing that they may have allowed me to feel a need and a sense of control that I felt like I needed because I didn't have that same sense of control as a kid. Sorry for the train. It's loud and it's right here. I'm gonna use that as an opportunity to take a sip. So now loneliness is alleviated by the attraction to narcissists and or the compulsion to stay with them. And in my next relationship, I can say that that person gave off narcissism vibes, but I also did as well, because now I wanted to control the entire situation, which leads us to the top. You know what I mean? The selfless compulsion caretaker who habitually attempts to control others into loving them. I didn't have to control this person into loving me, but I felt like I needed the control to make sure they kept loving me. Because again, going to the right, there are layers that we need to heal, and those layers will then lead us on this pyramid. So start with the childhood abandonment issues. Start with dealing with family divorce. Start with abuse and sexual abuse, homelessness, growing up in poverty, adoption, mental illness within the home, physical illness within the home, religion, and neglect. This was an excerpt from my actual journal in October 2018, excuse me. And this was shortly before I twisted my ankle, which led me on this path towards self-actualization. So these were some of the fears that I had listed inside of me. And if you can see here, control was listed twice because I truly had an issue giving up control. I felt like no one had held me down my entire life. And the only way that I can be free is if I had control, when we know that is not the case. So fear, I had a fear of giving up full control, meaning every single facet that you can possibly think of. I was not interested in you trying to take control of me, not being able to provide for myself. Again, a basic need, not receiving enough love. Again, a need, rejection, a need, because what we want is to partner and get along with others. That was, I believe, the fourth step. Rejection, losing control, loneliness, never having children or getting married. Again, I still kind of feel that way, but in the same token, you are called to a specific purpose. Sometimes we have to understand where we are in our lives. Those things will come, but it's not on your timing. We all know that it's on God's timing. Losing independence, again, another form of control and not completing my life's mission. Do I feel like I'm currently walking in my life's path? Absolutely. Do I understand that you do not have control over this life? Absolutely. I just know that my day-to-day decisions are determined by action. So here are some self-love tips for you, boo. Hey, these are some of the things that I have done every single day on this journey after I twisted my ankle. I am not an advocate for Western medicine, so it was important for me to find something that would heal me the fastest so that I could get back to running on the treadmill, because that was my thing. Okay, so journaling allowed me to heal on such a deep level because it is a person that I created on paper. Being able to confide and share with my journal became my favorite pastime. It's something I still do till this day. I have tons and tons of journals because you could never have enough stationery. You could never have enough stationery to share with. So if you feel like you're all alone, you have no one to vent to, talk to, no one really understands you, just write it down. As soon as you put the pen to the paper, just start writing. My greatest gift was to be able to say, hey, let me tell you what happened today. Just being able to vent about the whole day in one piece, whether if it was emotional, physical, spiritual, it didn't matter. I still had an outlet. Think about your journal being God and a form of prayer. I view journaling as a form of prayer. I was in a phase where I no longer could resonate with religion. And I didn't even understand what that meant on a deep spiritual level. But one thing that I kept doing was journaling because that was my version of prayer. I couldn't figure out who I was praying to. We all know that it's Father God or Jehovah God or Yahweh, you know, Muhammad, whomever it is that you're praying to, all of these entities, Buddha, and so on and so forth. I couldn't figure out the name of my God. And that was important for me to find out who that name was, because of the simple fact that I grew up for 30 years with a specific name. And my thing was, no one ever told me Or God never said to me personally, hey, this is my name that I want you to call me. But yet I had such a deep relationship with God. I was like, well, if I have this sacred relationship with God, how come it never told me its name? And everyone can feel how they want to feel about it, but that is my personal feedback. And that is why I started journaling even more so in my 30s, because of the simple fact that I didn't know how to pray to a God that hadn't identified themselves to me. Okay, moving on. Find out what you love and what you like as soon as possible and write it down. That was my version of creating a vision board. Once I understood the things that I wanted to do, once I understood how it would allow me to create a self-love plan to get to those achievements, then it was over. I wanted to do those things day in and day out. I love bubble baths. I love being able to walk around my neighborhood to get exercise. I love the fact that I want to sleep in maybe twice a week. That's why I work from home. You know, I love the concept and the idea of being able to go out with my girlfriends once a month to have cocktails and have them hold us and one another accountable for achieving our goals. It was important for us to journal and to come back at the month, say, hey, did you achieve any of these 10 things that you sought out to do? You know, that's the importance of finding out what you like and love and having people hold you accountable to those things. Which brings me to my next point, physical fitness. As I mentioned, me twisting my ankle had put me in a space where I was taken from the gym. And I was like, okay, so what do I actually do now? I can't run on the treadmill. You know, I want to, but I'm not going to force it, especially because I don't want to go visit a doctor. And I'm not saying that I am a doctor and no one advised me. It's just what I felt intuitively deep within. And that's exactly what I decided to do was yoga. I practice yoga and meditation, and we're going to get into a brief exercise coming up. But yoga and meditation had allowed me to heal even more on a deeper level than journaling. Let me tell you, just being on the yoga mat and being able to quiet and silence my mind allowed me to really feel vibrant. It allowed me to really get rid of these ailments that I had deep within me and I couldn't shake them. So, what was the best thing to do? To create a fitness routine that would allow me to blend both. And obviously, with physical fitness comes taking better care of your temple, mind, body, and soul. So, eating healthy was also something that I decided to do because now my thoughts are clearer. I didn't have all of this lagging in my brain. Sugar controls so much of your body and it stores in your body as fat. That's the last thing that I wanted was any more fat on my body to tell me that my thoughts were foggy and clear, that I couldn't get over this trauma that I had experienced as young as 7. So taking vitamins and minerals are imperative. I am a big sea moss and vitamin person. Every single day I take vitamins. It's important for me to feed my body with the nutrition that it needs. And that brings us to our 5 minutes of meditation with Nadi, AKA Queen Goddess Hope. And let's get started. I want to encourage you to shut down your eyes, get comfortable, focus on the two in between your eyes. When you close down your eyes, you may see a white light. I want you to take a deep breath in, and then we're going to hold it for 6 seconds and let it out. You ready? Inhale. Exhale. Deep breath in. Inhale. Exhale. And now we're going to take a breath and we're going to get back to our regular breathing pattern. And now I want you to focus in between your eyes and focus on your chest rising up and down, up and down. And while you're focusing on your breath, I want you to think about all that you've learned about thus far, about all of the possible triggers that you felt when you read the slide about the self-love deficit. I want you to say to yourself or aloud, whichever you're comfortable with, and remember to focus on your breath during this process. Maintain the rise and the falling of your chest, and make sure you're breathing in and out. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for starting the process of healing. I honor you. I am sorry. I forgive you. I love you. And I am here to guide you back to wholeness, health, and wealth. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your kindness. I forgive you. So now I still want you to focus on the white light in between your eyes. And as you are focusing on that, if your thoughts have traveled or drifted off into other worlds, I want you to bring the focus back on your breath with an inhale and exhale. Focus on the rising and falling of your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now what that allows you to do is count the rise and fall of your breath. And if you feel that you're not able to focus still, you want to think of this numeric sequence as an aid to get you back on track. So with every rise and fall, you want to say 1, 2. Now let's go all the way up to 10. 4. I want you to repeat after me. I forgive you. I love you. I am sorry. I welcome self-love, self-healing, and more love into my life. So now, as your mind is slowly drifting, I want you to blink open your eyes and come back to this space. Recognize that you are here and you are present and that you have achieved 5 minutes of meditation. So now, let me tell you about why I love dating myself. No one, and I mean no one, wanted to do weird things with me. So I decided to go alone. There was moments where I would just like, I just want to go out to go eat to here, this Thai restaurant. I want crab legs today. I'm just going to go over there and get some. I want to go do a cooking class. So I decided to do these things alone. I love, love, love the movies. I used to go once a week, whether if it was $6 2 days or a Friday matinee. I was totally balling on a budget. It would cost me less than $20 to have a fun day with myself. That included meals. Lunch and brunch is by far my favorite thing because we know that the meals are more affordable and the portions are smaller, but who needs large portions when you're trying to be vegan? Nobody. So my thing was adopting visiting hotels every single weekend in new cities so that I could actually embark on these mini vacations. And I really want to encourage you to do the same, because here you'll see these are the different moments that I created with my friends and some family members, but mostly alone. I went to Paris with a group of girls that you see on the right, two of them in there. I went to Arizona alone. I went to Chicago alone. I went to New Orleans with a friend, Paris with friends. Brunches are my thing. Brunch, 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 brunch. I can't get enough of brunch. I don't know what it is. It may be the mimosas, it may be the waffles. I love waffles, but I made it a point to never stop moving. All of these things were fairly inexpensive. Paris, we scored $480 tickets round trip to Paris. Hotel was probably $100 split between us. Very inexpensive. New Orleans, same thing. I think that was like 680 bucks. Just being able to time travel, if you will, into these different places allowed me to really feel like I had a sense of belonging. I was one with the earth. It was important for me to do everything that I wanted to do. So I decided to date myself 3 times a month. And like I said, a lot of times no one wanted to come with me. So I decided to do them by myself. The Chicago, Illinois trip by myself, Denver, Colorado by myself, Mesa, Arizona by myself, Gulf Shores, Alabama by myself, this starring in a screenplay in New York City by myself. Like I did things that I wanted to do that made me happy, me feel fruitful. And I allowed myself to include my friends and my family on one of those dates. So, my advice to you is to find out exactly what it is that you love to do and make sure you do it with style, make sure you do it with ease, and make sure that you do it for you. Just to kind of go back to the points about self-love, you have to find out what you like and love as soon as possible and make sure you implement those things daily, weekly, or monthly. I made it a point to take a spiritual bath twice a month, new moon, full moon. That's how I did it. It was easy to keep track of, but There are people who take baths every single day. There are people who have to have a glass of wine every single day. There are people who have to journal every single day. There are people who have to do meditation or yoga or go to the gym, take a run, take a walk every single day. All of these things matter because it allows you to love yourself deeper. So here's exactly what I am offering you today. There are 3 tiers to my actual masterclass, which will dive deep into more, will encourage you how to write out in your journal the goals of getting over your childhood trauma. Well, there'll be exercises, there will be PDFs and visual aids that will assist you on this process. So in those 8 lessons on how to get the ball rolling, will include visual, audio, and access to these items until the internet shuts down. Whoa, zombies, at $55.55. Next, we have the second tier of $111.11, which offers the same thing as tier 1, and it provides you with all of the ebooks from my Books with Words collection that I wrote by myself. Freedom versus Fear, a workbook, and how I became vegan in 5 years with the meal plan from Living Green Cuisine, and my erotic poetry book, Love is of a Libra, that allowed me to heal mentally, physically, and spiritually because I understood what it meant to embrace my inner goddess. The last tier of number 3, $333.33. It is all of the perks of tier 1 and 2, and it includes 3 one-on-one sessions with your girl. Hey, and how you can overcome all of these things one-on-one with me. So what will you be actually learning in this course? Well, take a look. Here we go. How to obtain self-actualization and how to be happy. We dive deep into what exactly self-love is on a greater level, how to begin to heal. And like I mentioned, it will include PDFs, it will include audio files, it will include tips and tricks on how I healed and actual assignments that I use on myself during this journey. I will dive more into the art of dating and give you ideas about what I did on all of these trips and why it was important for me to date myself, to nurture myself back to health. We talk about affirmations and meditations and also go over another meditation, which will be more in depth and tell you why affirmations actually matter. We'll go into music therapy and why music therapy is actually important for us to live, to be, and to heal on our everyday lives. We'll discuss overcoming fear and how to have comfort in your own skin on your journey towards being hashtag free as fuck. And then you'll graduate with some dope hashtag free as fuck gear, of course, because you are amazing. So the objective of this course is to how to achieve self-actualization. You'll create a self-care routine, which again, I encourage you to do so as soon as possible with or without this course. Taking time to heal because healing is an ongoing process with these moons and stars, all fluctuating. They carry their own energy. Right now, it's currently Mercury retrograde, and we just transitioned into the Aquarian age. And the spring equinox is coming up. All of these different energies take a major role into our lives and where we are at our current state. So with that being said, this is something that is going to help you get there. Healing takes time. These astrological beings allow us to alter and shift our moods. And guess what? There is no timeline of how soon you should finish this course. It is up to you, but the fact is you have to do it. So some of the assignments will allow you to start that process. I remember when I first did this with my spiritual advisor, it literally took me 4 months to finish the healing process. It was traumatic. I didn't realize how much I was able to regurgitate immediately Like, and just being able to express that finally, I was like, oh no, like I need more time, sis. Like, I'll get back to you when I'm ready. You know what I mean? So at some point, I had to go back and rework those same things because I was like, wow, read this journal. Do you see what was in here? You've come a long way. But again, it's important for you to do the work. So going back, I'm going to put a link in the chat box that will include the actual course and how to sign up. These are the tiers, once again, 55, 55, 111 and 11, and $333.33. This course is available on a pre-sale because as you can see, the rate will go up. This is a temporary one-time offer to teach you how to get there right now. This course will become available to you March 2021. You'll receive an email, you'll have to make a login. And once you are logged in and ready, guess what? The healing returns and it's time to remember what your homework is. Find an accountability partner, create a self-care routine, ask yourself, who am I? Attack the darkness. Again, attack the darkness and register for the masterclass because that is the true and sure way that you'll start to heal yourself. Remember, it is okay to say no nicely. Don't rush the process. Trust your path. Practice mindfulness and be sure to visit bu2.com because it houses all of the products that I use personally on this self-care journey and the Balance Me Now collection. I am very spiritual. I am a person who burns incense every day. I sage whenever I feel like there's negative vibes around me. I embark on spiritual wellness with yoga and meditation. It is important for me to adopt a self-care routine because that's the only way that I remain #free as fuck. So I'm going to take this opportunity now to open up the floor and allow you to ask me any questions that you may have regarding self-love, self-care, and and I encourage you to follow me on these social media platforms. If you have not already, please visit my Amazon shop, BU times 2 on there. It's at amazon.com/shop/Queen Goddess Hope. And majority of you have found me on this webinar through Facebook and Instagram, but I am also on LinkedIn and Twitter. So again, I open up the floor to you. I want to thank you for your time. If you have already departed, again, there is no financial obligation to start the self-love process. But if you would like me to help you, I am here to help you. So again, thank you for attending and joining. Namaste.